3, 2, 1. So hello Facebook and also hello Clubhouse. So I was contacted by a publishing company, a PR company, and they said they had a new book that was coming out and would I be interested in reviewing the book? So I said, yes, sure. What is it? Let me know. And the book is a new by an author. I haven't read any of his works before. So let me just give you a quick summary of what the PR company said. Now I have it here in my hot little hand, so I haven't opened it as yet. So I'm going to open it live. I'm going to do a very quick photo read of the book, and I'm going to give you my first impression. So actually, do you know what? I'm not going to look at what because they sent me a blurb and I didn't read it in terms of, I just looked at the name and it's Am I Loved by John Bieber. I didn't actually read their blurb because I didn't want it to get into my head. So before I actually look at what they have said, I am going to open said book and I'm going to do my own version. So this is from Literally PR. There we go. That's who has sent me the book. So I'm going to open it. I'm going to do a bit of some of the energetic stuff that I do with books when I photo read them. And I'm going to give you my first impression. Ooh, okay. So there we go. So I will show you that there. Oh, number one, I like the feel of it. So that's my first impression, very first. So am I loved? The most asked question of all time by John D. Bieber. So let's just move that out of the way. All right. So in photo reading terms, first thing we do, we look at the front cover, the back cover, just to get a quick summary. So seize the moment of happiness, love and be loved. That is the only reality in the world. All else is folly. That's Leo Tolstoy from War and Peace. So this book is thought-provoking, beautifully written, explains the human condition from an entirely new perspective. And I'm already hooked. And what I love about this as well, the thing that catches the attention and also I think energetically hooks us in is we will recognize that love heart from the emoji, because I'm sure many of us are well versed in social media. So what I'm going to do now, so we've got a picture of John there, the inside thing. And so what I'm going to do now is just have a very quick flick through. Now, my purpose in this is to have my first impression for those of you who are watching who are photo readers. So one of the first things that we do, I'll hold it up a bit so you can just see what I'm doing, and then I'll continue to do it on my desk, is just kind of fanning backwards and forwards, getting a sense of the book. And this is what I call the first handshake with the author, to get a sense of the style and the layout. Now, one of the things I already like is we've got contents index, we've got bibliography. So this is kind of referenced work. So I do like that, because it's really lovely to be able to go back. I can see a couple of diagrams in there as well. I can see we've got some quotes. I always like a good quote. And I can also now get a sense of the way the chapters begin and end. All right, so who am I? Life's big question. That is a really big one. It's one of the questions I'd asked when I'd put the Ignite Your Brilliance together. It's a question that floored everyone. I had people in tears with that question. So, all right, so done my quick sort of overview just to get a sense of it. What I'm going to now do, which isn't going to be particularly exciting for you to watch or for you to listen to, is I'm going to just very quickly start to photo read the book. Now, I may not photo read it all, because to photo read a whole book of this sort of size from start to finish might take 2 or 3 minutes, and you might not want to sit there and watch me turn the pages for 2 or 3 minutes, but I'm just going to give myself the first impression of the book. Some of you might have also heard me talking about, it's not a very elegant term, but it's the term that delegates came up with. This was probably around, let's see, 2007/8, photo sucking, where you hold the book between the palms of your hands and you get the vibe and the energy of the book. So I'm going to do that as well. Now, in terms of what you can't see, because I've got it down on my desk, I'm going to hold it up for a moment. This is what I'm going to be doing with the book. And just very quickly, and as I said, I'm going to, in the interest of time, I may not do the whole thing because you might not want to sit there and listen to flip. It's called the flip stage, step 3 of photo reading. I'm just going to now do my very first full interaction with the book. I call this step the data download. So here we go. And for those of you who are photo readers, you will know that while the pages are being flipped and turned, we're turning at the rate of about 1 second per page. There is a little chant that you're saying in your head to yourself, the relax, relax, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax, relax, you know the chant. So that's what's going on in my head as well. And that is almost like the metronome if you're learning music, which just gives you a better sense of rhythm and flow. And you're also telling your mind and your brain what you would actually like it to do for you. And I've just gone to the chapter on emotions because I was going to say it's one of the things to allow you to calm yourself down and get yourself into what you call the accelerated learning state. And you're taking in 2 pages at a time. I call this one I had a young gentleman. He was 9 years old, and he said this step is like the Matrix, where you have the green noughts and ones going down the screen, and all of that data is being downloaded into your neurology. And I do, we've got mention of God, and I do love that description. Okay, so just getting to the end of it here. Decided to do the whole thing. And so my first impression is, I think it's, talked about the whole thing about being thought-provoking, and I like it because I've seen already just on the periphery a number of questions. So I'm guessing that this is a book that you would be going through it and can almost use it like a coaching resource as well, not just what I call passively reading and taking on the information, but starting to interact with the book, where the book is going to be posing questions. I don't know if it's suggested in the book, but my sense is, I'm quite old school. I still got a pen on my desk. So my sense is that this is one where if you're somebody who likes journaling, you may want to journal in terms of what's coming to mind as you go through the book, because I've already just on the periphery as I'm going through noticed some questions coming up. So that's having done a quick preview of the book, where you look at the front cover, back cover, contents page, index page, just to get a sense. And one of the things I noticed there's this reference to the word magic. Those of you who know me, you might know that I started the Magic and Gratitude group back in, when was that? February 2013, and we're now in 2021, so a long time ago. But I love that there's a thing called a little magic. I also often talk about Huna, Huna, Huna magic. So there are some things that I love here. I'm also intrigued by a couple of the chapters. Chapter 12, for example, is entitled Oh My God, and chapter 13 is entitled For God's Sake. So I'm now very, very intrigued. And this is one of the things that when you're previewing the book, one of the reasons you do that is to get yourself neurologically engaged. So I am now excited. And the fact that chapter 12 and 13 have already got my attention means that I'm going to want to go through this book to get there, particularly if it helps to read the book sequentially. And that I will find out as I start to do some activation with it. I love also it opens, and I've said I've noticed there are quotes throughout this book. So the first thing that I see as I really start getting into it is the dedication. So it says, you are the me of me, the thee of me, the we of me, and the be of me. You are. And it says, to Joey, my wife, the greatest love of my life. So now I've got that warm and fuzzy feeling as I start to engage with the book. I'm immediately now liking the author even more, even though I've haven't yet met John Bieber. So what you're then doing with regards to the book, can do a bit of a post view just to get a sense of, okay, where are we at with this? And Lily thought he said Oprah, it says opera. I was at ballet today, so we were listening to the old classical music. And what I'm kind of doing now is deciding, okay, where do I want to start with this book? It may be that, yes, you're going to read it sequentially. Love is passion, love is life, joy, fulfillment. But I've seen love dying and I've seen love dead. Love, the magic thread in the human tapestry, the sliver of warmth and light in a dark, cold world. Love, the single thing that every human being longs for, that everyone alive on this planet absolutely needs. Yes, love, the glue that binds two people, the bond uniting families and friends, the single force that fuels all a human coupling, affording grace to individual existence. I've witnessed love, experienced love, and been deeply blessed with love in my personal life. But as a lawyer handling divorce, I've seen what happens when it's gone, lost forever, like a dream that flies away. With love extinguished, perfectly good and reasonable people fall victim to feeling that they've never had or imagined before. Things become ugly, tragic, and distressing, rendering them incapable of navigating procedures based on rights and entitlements. They are simply too enthralled to their emotions to see the wood for the trees. Now, I've got to stop right there because I've got goosebumps on a number of different levels. The wood for the trees, for those of you who have attended any of my video webinar programs, you have most likely heard me talk about my economics lecturer at university. So I did a business degree. The economics lecturer, and I've often described him in a bit more detail, but he had this thing where he would do this saying and he would move in this kind of way, for those of you watching on Facebook Live. And me, Mina, and Shameen would be sitting at the back. He'd go, and we'd look at each other and go, oh, here we go again, because we didn't know what it meant. But he would say, sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees. And he'd say it and he'd kind of bob his head. It took me years. It wasn't really until I became a coach and a therapist, I was like, oh my gosh, I get what he was saying to us now. What you mean by that, if the tree is that close to your face, you can't see what it is. So the fact that it opens with that quote, because it's not necessarily a saying you hear a lot, I already feel there are going to be some great synchronicities in here. Now, when I started reading this and talking about the beauty and the destructive nature of love, I immediately thought back to my life in September 2000, where in September 2000, I contemplated suicide because a relationship that I was in, my then partner had an affair. It felt like the end of the world. Now, I know with hindsight, that was just the final straw. There were many, 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 many other things that have been happening in my life from childhood right up to that moment when I was 32. That one event was the catalyst for, I think, bringing to the fore all of the other insecurities. So my journey into this work started with experience the devastation of love, but it led to something beautiful, because I don't think I'd be sitting here today having this conversation with you, or even alive potentially, had it not been for that devastating experience. But that then opened the doorway. And one of the things I've been saying for the last 20 years is that these experiences, particularly the challenging ones, I always say they're like the tapestry they're like the threads in the tapestry of our life. And I love that John has used a very, very similar reference just in the opening of this, because I was just reading a bit of the preface there. My first impression is that I love the way that John writes. It's engaging. It's kind of almost compelling and exciting. It feels like rich text, R-I-C-H. So it feels like rich text to me. I didn't actually expect him to be a lawyer, given what I've already seen of the book. But now for me, I love that juxtaposition, because when I say to people, I was studying to be a chartered accountant and I gave it up to become a coach and a hypnotherapist and an NLP, neuro-linguistic programming trainer instead, it seems like a really odd mix. And for me now, having started this book, seen what it's about, and now suddenly John comes in and says, actually, I'm a lawyer. I'm like, wow, it's a similar kind of juxtaposition, almost like the hard and the soft, because I know that lawyers have a particular reputation, and I don't mean that in a negative way. My sister is a lawyer. So, she does a sterling job. She's a fabulous human being. But I know there's a perception in the world of who lawyers are and what they are all about. So I'm interested and intrigued as to why a lawyer is writing about the subject of love and referencing God in that. So my natural inclination, if I were going to be just doing a quick bit of activation to satisfy some curiosity, what I would probably do is I would be going to, oh gosh, we're talking about genes, the riddle and the wheel of life. Wow. Loving love, which brings us to love. If fear is an emotion unlike all others, which lasts but a short time, so then is love, which can last for a lifetime. Love is different from other emotions, a composite. Wow, I love this. A composite of admiration, affection, approbation, benevolence, care, compassion, consideration, desire, devotion, empathy, esteem, fondness, friendship, gratitude, kindness, need, passion, respect, romance, sympathy, tenderness, and validation. So yeah, my first impression is I'm really going to enjoy reading this book because I'm completely engaged right from the first page, which of course is what good writing is all about. And I've just jumped now to chapter 12 because it's piqued my curiosity. And that's one of the reasons why, just to recap what I said earlier, one of the reasons why when you do your preview in terms of the photo reading whole mind system, you look at the contents and you look at the index. What that does neurologically is it starts to engage you with the book, because the likelihood is you are going to see something that piques your curiosity. And that now means you are more invested in reading the book. So that's why people can come to a photo reading class hating reading, feeling completely overwhelmed, and leave 2.5 days later going, wow, oh my gosh, I'm in love with books, I'm in love with reading again. So that's one of the little side effects. So chapter 12, let's give you a little extract of that. We start with a few quotes. So this is chapter 12, entitled, Oh My God. Man is quite insane. He wouldn't know how to create a maggot, and he creates gods by the dozen. So that was from Michel de Montaigne, I probably said that incorrectly, born 1953, passed away 1592. We also have, it doesn't matter, tell him that. The more cause he gives to doubt him, tell him that. The deeper delves faith. Though his love becomes only abrasion, derision, excoriation, tell him I cling. He made us. He can never shake us off. We will always find him out. Promise him that. We will always find him, no matter how few there are, and tell him we find him to deliver our complaint. And that is from S. Ansky, 1863 to 1920. And it says, in 1956, "In God We Trust" became the motto of the United States. It appears on the banknotes and coins of the almighty US dollar. God is the king, not just of the earth, but of the universe, which is so vast that were it reduced to the size of the earth, our world will be no bigger than the microscopic single-celled organism that was the first bearer of life. So the vast news is that the first Cro-Magnon man and woman from 35,000 years ago, even if traveling at the speed of light, would have just made it a third of the way across our galaxy, whilst news of God would have traveled only a tenth of the distance, 3,500 light years, and that of Jesus a mere 2,000 light years. God's presence is ubiquitous. The bulk of humanity has a relationship with him. In old age, Robert Frost in Cluster of Faith wrote, "Forgive, O Lord, my little jokes on thee, and I'll forgive thy great big one on me." One of the themes of this book has been our general ignorance of the human condition. Likewise, humankind has been ignorant of the reality of God and many of the laws of nature. These things can be represented within the word ignorance itself. It starts with an I for I, followed by a G for God, and an N for nature. Between them, they have been responsible for a very great deal of confusion. Interesting. And I love this. I love this. So now it gives me a sense that we are going to be addressing some of those big life questions. from my perspective, I'm going to feel that there's going to be something around transformation. There's going to be something around enlightenment. There's going to be something on shining the light, on learning new things, getting a sense of a new perspective. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pick something at random, a message that will be a really good idea, maybe to pull from the book in closing, as I incubate on it and then get ready to read it, to do a proper review, not just a quick sort of first impression. So I'm going to go with page 77. No idea what's on page 77, but I'm soon going to find out. Page 77. Right, so this is the chapter Genes, the Riddle, and the Wheel of Life. So it says, it's closing a sentence. I'm going to start with just the beginning of that sentence so that I read it in context. So it says, if they were not faithful, life would simply come to an end. And so, in my respectful view, genes are more aptly described as faithful than selfish. Genes have brought to life to creation so that every living creature, being or thing, might be a bearer of life. Again, in my opinion, bearer of life seems a more relevant description than Richard Dawkins' survival machine. So it is entirely consistent with nature's fundamental concern to protect and perpetuate the life that animates us. So this is all, oh no, so this reminds me of the TCCHE, the Conference for Consciousness and Human Evolution, because these are the kinds of things we're talking about with regards to life creation, epigenetics. What do some of these older things tell us? To my chagrin, comprehensive answers to these questions were also provided by the unborn child before I had the opportunity to explain them. So yeah, so my first impression of this book, it's a good read, it's a deep read. I'm guessing that there are times where you could open it for inspiration, or it might be that you say, look, I just want to go and I'm going to have a look at some of these quotes, which will be amazing. So for me, my first impression are there are many ways that I could use this book. I can read it from start to finish, cover to cover, and it's going to take me, I'm guessing, on a journey. I could pull out quotes which resonate with me. I could also go to some of the questions that are being posed here and start opening up and expanding my thinking. And my preference for this book, because there are some books, I call them, the dip in and dip out books, where I'm just going to dip in, grab an idea, off I go. But I feel that this one, I'm going to be activating it and reading it from the beginning, starting with, and chapter 1 is entitled The Human Story. Chapter 2, An Inheritance of Love. Chapter 3, Who Am I? And then we're cascading right down to the final chapter, chapter 14, which is entitled Humankind. So my inference with this one, it's going to be much better to read it from start to finish, because I'm guessing there's an unfolding. We're going to be building on the ideas. Oh, and we open with a quote from Charles Dickens. And one, again, I've got various quotes, I've got quotes all around the place. So quotes on my desk, quotes behind me on the shelf, all that sort of stuff. So I do love a good quote. Subdue your appetites, my dears, and you've conquered human nature. So yeah, but I like it. My first impression is I really like it. I'm interested to read it. In terms of the typeface, very, very nice typeface to read as well. Have got a few, in addition to the quotes, of which there are many. Our emotions exist to save us from harm. Peter Wybrow. So in addition to the quotes, we do have some diagrams dotted about here as well. We can tell when a chapter starts. For the photo readers, these are good visual cues, because we always start with a big capital letter. So if you're flicking through, but yeah, I really like it. Excited to have a read. So once I have read it and gone through it more sequentially, I will return with my thoughts, with my review. I might share with you some of my biggest aha moments, my light bulb moments, the things that maybe it caused me to stop and think about, some of the key questions that I pulled out of it as well. But I am looking forward to reading this one. Am I loved or am I surviving? Ooh, interesting. So yeah, even the chapter headings, and again, the sign of good writing is the chapter headings are also intriguing and enough to draw the reader in. So again, in closing, let me just show you the front cover for those of you on Facebook Live. So this is the book that I will be reviewing, Am I Loved? By John Bieber. And the subtext is the most asked question of all time. So yeah, so that is the book. Now let me just, now I'm going to go back to what they said in the official. So Am I Loved is a thought-provoking, beautifully written book which explores the human condition from an entirely original perspective. It continues where Richard Dawkins and Steven Pinker left off, presenting a carefully evidenced understanding of life, which is groundbreaking in its implications. So I was saying it feels like it's going to be transformational and explorative. So it sounds like we're on track with that one. The blend of philosophy and psychology theory takes the reader on a unique journey. Cool, because I said it felt like an unfolding journey. Yahoo! I'm glad. I'm excited even more. As a psychiatrist, I found the level of theoretical integration both sound and successful. It provides a new understanding of a universal experience which was previously hardly understood at all. Let's see. Sorry, I just got to scroll a bit. Okay. Yeah, cool. This is an important book. So this was from Dr. N.J. Cooling, consultant psychiatrist. And it says, if I'd like to read it, right, cool. So yeah, so I love that. I love it. So it's kind of what I'm expecting, having just had a very quick dip in, a little taster that we're going on a journey. It's a journey of exploration. It's a journey of evolution. It's a potential journey of transformation. And I like this one. It's not another novel or self-help book, just a book that is stranger than fiction. As human beings, not only have we all gone wrong, we have never got it right. So that is just wonderful. And the final, I'm just having, and that what I've just read also, I've just seen is on the back of the book as well. And the second quote is, Bieber's latest book will get you thinking in new ways about the very basis of personal fulfillment and happiness. This is a thought-provoking work. This thought-provoking work is insightful and stimulating and almost written in a poetic style, both personal and scholarly, an exceptional work that will appeal to those seeking deeper meaning in their relationships. And that's from Jeremy N. White, author of Schools for the 21st Century and former chief executive of the Princess Business Trust and visiting professor, Cass Business School in London. Right, so that's the book. Oh, I don't know if that's the ISBN code for those of you who, I'm not actually, I know it, the tour is it believe the end of this month. So I'm not quite sure yet if the book is officially available, but I shall be doing the review in the next week or so and feeding back. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I will report back with regards to this book. And I'm looking forward to reading it, answering one of life's big questions, and I'm sure several others along the way as well. So, yay. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Publication May. Oh, okay. It came out on 28th of May, 2021. So it came out just at the end of May. So it is available for you. It's available in hardcover and ebook for international distribution. And for those who just want a bit more information, really look, I'm not making any money from telling you this information, but I think you might want to have it. So the ISBN number is 9781910074251. Page count 192 pages and price is £17.99. And for media requests and inquiries, it's info@literallypr.com. So there we have it. Wonderful. And let me just tell you a little bit about John Bieber. It almost seems rude not to, such that we've been talking about him because they have sent me his bio here as well. So it says, John Bieber was born and brought up in London, the youngest of 3 children. He qualified as a solicitor with Goodman, Derrick and Co., where he remained a partner with the great Lord Goodman for 10 years. Thereafter, he founded his own firm, leaving after 9 years to spend more time with family. He and his wife, with whom he married in 1977, had 4 children by then under the age of 5, and help was needed, ! And so his children had both parents growing up wild in a small farm where he still lives in Sussex with his wife. Having acted in many divorces, John was concerned to help clients avoid a bad divorce following on a bad marriage. So he wrote, "If divorce is the only way, an emotional and practical guide to the do's and don'ts of divorce and marital breakdown." Sounds like a good read if any of you, unfortunately, are going through a breakdown and a breakup. And I say breakdown because really sometimes you do mentally break down, as I mentioned at the beginning. So, and it was published by Penguin. Realizing that there was a vacuum of understanding about the role that the emotions play in our lives led John to what he calls the obvious question: how can we function as sophisticated emotional beings when we can neither understand nor control our emotions? Eventually, after much research and deep thinking, Am I Loved emerged to answer that question. Right, so there you have it. Those are my initial thoughts, having just opened the book. I'll do a proper review. I'll go through all forth and activate it and read it, and I shall report back. So thank you all for watching. If you do decide to purchase a book, let me know your thoughts as well. Really great to have a discussion about it. And thank you also to those of you listening in Clubhouse. Marilyn Devonish from transformationstm.com. Over and out. I will catch you all later. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Bye-bye.